we need somebody that can actually create this stuff without having to code it. You know, if you get somebody that comes in here without any C# background, good luck trying to maintain those integrations, right? Workato / Automation Studio allows us to kind of dump that in someone else's lap if we need to, because it is a lot of drag and drop. There isn't a lot of programming that has to be done with it. So my name is Hannah Willits. I am an applications engineer for Stephen Gould. I've been working with their software called Epicor for the past 10 years at various companies. My role as an applications developer is to customize their Epicor ERP system to function for the business. Stephen Gould is a company that's been in business for 80 years, and they specialize in custom packaging for customers. Our team is about 15 people, and it's segregated between different areas of the Epicor IT. So like I said, there's 3 of us developers. There's a handful of system analysts that will talk to the users in the company and gather requirements. And then we've got a number of implementation specialists currently getting Epicor up and running across our 40 plants throughout the world. One of the issues we come across frequently with integration is a platform that's easy to use. It's got flexibility to be able to use with whatever product we need on the other side of it, aside from Epicor. And it's got to be capable of handling large amounts of data that we send to and from these third-party applications. So over the years, I've used a lot of different platforms. I've used Jitterbit, Dell Boomi, Oracle Integration Cloud. I've written my own from time to time. And more recently, Workato. As I used it, it became apparent that this is going to be a decent tool for us to use going forward, just due to the ease of setting it up. Like I said, Epicor handled like all of the front end stuff for me. I don't have to do any connections on their side. It's pretty much all set up. And just that alone saves me a lot of time. Since playing with it with our initial integration, I think we've created about 4 different ones using this product, and it's all been equally as easy to do. And that's a huge factor when we're selecting an integration platform, because yes, we can code this ourselves. Do we want to? Not really. And a big reason why we chose to go with Workato is because Epicor is acquiring this product to be able to use natively with their system. So they did a lot of the front end stuff for me that connects to Epicor. I really don't have to touch a lot of that. It's just maintaining the connectors on the other side. And Workato, bless their hearts, have done so much of that already. There's so many connectors that are predefined. So like, I don't have to do much. And outside of that, it's a pretty simple platform to use. It's intuitive. The GUI is nice. And quite frankly, it does exactly what we need it to do. Currently, they're all paper-based, so that should speak volumes to the benefit here of getting them all in the same system. Like aside from electronic data, they'll actually be able to communicate without having to send a folder around, mail it around, call people, email people. Like all the data is going to exist in the system. And each PO, if you were to have to create it on both sides every single time, that adds hours to somebody's week for each of these POs. And it's unnecessary wasted time for them, because their value add is creating the PO in their site. They don't care about the other site. But if we didn't have an automation to sync those up, they would have to go into the other site or pick up the phone and call somebody and have them create it. And then you have a lot of back and forth communication between 2 people, and that leaves a lot of room for error. That alone justifies creating this integration, because it takes that error out of it. It automates it all. People don't have to think. And when they don't have to think, that makes everybody's jobs easier, because then you don't have to worry about mistakes. We have a lot of factories where one of our plants will make it, the other plant will hold the cost and save it. And what Epicor doesn't do well is a site-to-site process, if you will. They have a company to company process, but not site to site. Where Workato comes in is we are able to generate a PO on one side and using various data tags within Epicor and their own BPM subset. Workato picked that up once that BPM tag trigger was analyzed and created, and it went to the other site and made that purchase order in the other site without us having to touch it. And we set it up so that one site holds cost, the other site holds inventory, and stuff like that. And it just goes back and forth and makes it very seamless. So the one plant only has to deal with creating the PO. That's all they do anyways. And the other plant, they just have to receive the PO. And everything else gets mirrored between the two sites and keeps everything in sync. So that was our primary use case. Recently, we have a customer that sends us purchase order request by email, and they have Excel attachments. So we used Workato to pick up those attachments and download them to a file location. We have another recipe that's currently looking at that file location. It will pick those up and call it BAQ within Epicor, and it will create those POs for us. Nobody has to touch anything. Interestingly, we weren't really looking for a product. As I've said, I've done a lot of these integrations manually myself, and it's fine, but there's a lot of maintenance involved. We happened to be at Epicor's annual conference called Insights, and they were demoing what they're calling Automation Studio. And my boss and I looked at that and we were intrigued. It was interesting. So we got, I think they got a trial or just signed up for it or something. And quite frankly, it worked. It worked really well. We happened to have a use case for it at the time. Originally, we were planning on writing this integration using C# and Epicor's tool set. And we're like, you know what, let's give Automation Studio a try and see how it performs. And we had anticipated, I think, upwards of probably 2 to 3 months for this integration manually. And I think we hammered it out in about 2 weeks using Automation Studio. Finance is going to love it because now they have accurate reporting that they can pull for all 40 sites across the globe on a whim, pretty much. At present, I think 3 sites live on Epicor. We're doing 3 implementations simultaneously all the time. So when one gets implemented, we add another one on. Our project plan is, I think, 3 to 5 years to get all 40 up and running, which is extremely aggressive, quite frankly, but so far we're on track. So I think they're planning on like 3 to 6 months per site, but they've been hitting the 3-month mark so far. And I expect it's going to get easier the more of these we do. Like the beginning sites are always difficult because you're kind of recreating a process for them. But once you've got the framework in place, it's going to be like a template almost, if you will, for the remaining sites. It has become our go-to platform for when we need to integrate something, just because it is easy to use, it's quick to set up. Workato's got tens of thousands of connectors already predefined, so there's not a lot of work that we have to do, which makes it very appealing for us. The faster we can close out a ticket and get it done, we can move on to something else and make someone else's life easier too. So it's all about spending less time on something, which Workato enables us to do.